ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the GRCV Hoops Podcast. My name is Gavin Campbell, and alongside me, as always, my good friend
Ricardo Vargas, and as always, happy and excited to be here.
Absolutely. Always excited to bring you guys a new episode of the show. Felix will not be joining us today. Had weather kind of delayed his trip here to the studio, so we're not gonna hear from him today. But hopefully, in the next recording of the show, he'll be back joining us. But anyway, getting all that out of the way, jumping into the first topic here. Rick, the Houston Rockets have won 10 straight games since Chris Paul's return to the team. Chris is averaging 16 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, and over 2 steals a game. How impressive have not only the Rockets been these past 3 weeks, but Chris Paul?
I think they're one of the best teams in the entire league, and Chris Paul, he's been amazing as always. You expect that from him, one of the most consistent players of all time. And I think the Rockets actually have a chance to challenge Golden State in the playoffs. I know it's a little early, but they are looking unstoppable. Him, Harden, Clint Capella, Ryan Anderson, they have a lot of talent there. Great coaching. Shoot, the sky's the limit for them.
Absolutely. And, you speak of their role players, guys like Capella and Anderson, and let's not forget Eric Gordon.
Yo, you can't. I'm sorry.
6th man of the year last year. Let me tell you a crazy stat that I saw on Fox Sports was that Ryan Anderson is shooting over 70% from 3 when receiving a pass from Chris Paul. That is
that's insane. That's insane.
That is one of the most ridiculous stats I've ever heard in my entire years of watching basketball. But he's already a sniper from long distance. Some people think he's not worth the money, myself included. But you can't deny that he is a 3-point expert when it comes to his game. But over 70% offensive assists from Chris Paul, that number to me just is absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention that, let's not forget James Harden's numbers. Clearly a top 2 candidate for MVP. You could argue LeBron James, but we'll get to him a little bit later. But yeah, no, the Rockets, they're just – I expected them to be good. I think I had them in my preseason power rankings. I think I had them 3rd behind San Antonio when it's all said and done. But we'll have to see what the Spurs can do with Kawhi Leonard coming back yesterday.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But no, the Rockets, let me just say that I'm going to go ahead and agree with you that they can challenge Golden State, but I don't know if they can beat them. I think that they're trying to outshoot teams, and Golden State still has a top 5 defense in the league. I'm not sure what the advanced statistics are on their perimeter defense are, but outscoring your opponent when Golden State can already score well over 100 points a game is definitely hard to do, but that's always been Mike D'Antoni's strategy. And we'll have to see how that plays out, but the Rockets have really been impressive.
No, yeah, they really have, and I was one of them that they didn't think they would be this good. One of the first few episodes, I remember just taking they'll be good, but not that good. I didn't expect this at all. I was doubting them, and they're making me eat my words.
Definitely, what I doubted was the chemistry between James Harden and Chris Paul. Was how are they going to make this work? They have 2 ball dominant guards, because we know that Chris Paul needs the ball in his hand to be effective, and we thought that James Harden needed the ball in his hand to be effective. But they have found this perfect balance, this perfect mix, if you will, of kind of sharing the ball and sharing the floor, moving around, getting other guys involved, and just, Chris, I think, draws just as much attention as James Harden with the way that he can facilitate and be that floor general for the Rockets. So when he drives in, I've seen it many times on many highlight tapes throughout the season, that when he drives, everyone converges on the ball because you don't know what Chris Paul is going to do, and then he'll find the open man on the wing, and then just kind of repeat. If it's not there, they flip it back up to the top. James Harden gets the ball. He drives in. It's just kind of a never-ending cycle, but it seems to work.
Exactly. It's insane. You cannot leave Chris Paul open. You definitely can't leave James Harden open. And then they just find a way to find an open guy, whether it's Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon, or alley-oops to Clint Capella.
Right, and Capella, let me tell you, have you seen the game that he played a few days ago where he scored – almost 30 points and got over 12 rebounds, I think it was. They were just feeding him the ball.
They just feed him every night.
And, like you said, you have to pay attention to him because he's also a threat. He's kind of becoming, and I think I said this earlier, maybe a few weeks ago, he's kind of becoming the DeAndre Jordan of this team. DeAndre shoots well over 60% at the rim. Clint Capella is shooting 60% at the rim this season. And just being able to be that threat of, okay, I have to watch Paul, I have to watch Harden when they drive because they can either go up with it, they can kick it out, or now the third option is throw it up to Clint and have him dunk it.
How do you stop that?
And it's pretty crazy because Chris probably brought some of that mentality after playing years and years and years with DeAndre Jordan in Los Angeles, and Blake Griffin too. Can't forget about him. He's a talent, even though he's getting up there in age. I think this has been very surprising for a lot of people, and the way that this has been able to come together and keep that top seed in the West for weeks now has just been incredibly impressive.
And no, I completely agree.
But let's get to another team in the West that's not doing so well. The Oklahoma City Thunder are now 12-14 after their loss to the Charlotte Hornets. They've played 26 games this season, and they haven't looked like we thought they would in the beginning. I had them as a top 4 team in the West, and they're not even in the playoffs right now. They're sitting in a 9 spot in the Western Conference. Rick, let me ask you this question. Can the Thunder turn it around, or should their GM Sam Presti start looking at options for this team?
Oh my goodness! I thought they were going to be able to challenge the Warriors.
Absolutely, me too.
And on paper, you see those names, and you do think that. But with the way they've been playing, like Carmelo Anthony especially, shooting 19% from the 3, oh my goodness!
These past few games for him in December have been absolutely awful. Probably one of the worst stretches in his career.
If not the worst.
It's really. It's hard to watch because you know what this guy's capable of, what he's been able to do throughout his career, and just watching him struggle through this and watching his team.
It's tough to see.
Absolutely.
It's tough to see, and I think there's still a chance for them to turn around. There's still a lot of games left in the season. There's still a lot of time to figure this out, but they got to do it quick because if not, they were better off last season.
Right, when Russell Westbrook had him and just a bunch of role players around him, they were better than this,
And last year, I thought they were going to be better, like Westbrook and Oladipo. But now, Oladipo, he didn't do that for them. Now he's thriving over there. But I really don't know with the Thunder. Hopefully they do turn it around because it would be nice to see them in the playoffs, fighting against the Warriors, the Rockets, whatever. But
I just hope they can make it in the West to make it interesting.
Yes,
Not that I wouldn't like to see New Orleans or Portland. I mean, these are good teams, but if OKC misses the playoffs with these 3 big names on their roster, it would be really disappointing.
It really would, and they would have to just finish that off this same season.
Exactly. I mean, you got Russell Westbrook under contract for 3 more years because of his extension. But now, Carmelo Anthony's contract is up, and then Paul George's contract is up because they both have player options, which you would expect them both to decline after that disappointing season. And then the Thunder are out. What? You have Russell Westbrook and then a bunch of role players again. Well, you know how that worked out for you.
Exactly. And now this time you don't have Victor Oladipo.
Exactly. So you're not going to be able to use him as trade bait because he's already in Indiana. So
looking back at it now, I think Indiana won that trade.
I think you would have to argue that Indiana, depending on how the rest of the season plays out, did win that trade.
Because how Oladipo is playing, he's playing better than Paul George.
Right now, he is playing better than Paul George, at least through the month of December so far.
That's crazy.
Which you could not have predicted that. But props to him for showing out, and that we've always known that he was a talented player, but that he was capable of balling like this is, I think, otherworldly.
Unprecedented.
I don't think that anyone thought that he'd be scoring over 30 points a game for any stretch.
Exactly. It's insane to think about. I'm really happy for him because I know he did put in some work over the offseason.
Absolutely.
He got leaner, got more muscle.
And let's not forget about Domantas Sabonis.
No, you can't.
Since being traded, when Miles Turner went out with that injury, like we mentioned a couple weeks ago, his game has really improved, and he's come into his own really with that team, getting quality minutes behind Turner and Thad Young.
Indiana definitely won that trade.
Absolutely. You would have to think, unless for some miraculous reason the Thunder can turn this around. But let me give you this scenario. We know that Dwayne Wade was named the starter for the Cavs early in the season. It didn't work out for him, so he came out and said by himself, under his own will, said, hey, let me come off the bench, let me lead this second unit, and we'll be all right. And it's worked wonders for the team so far, right? So what if Melo finally came out and said, you know what, I need to come off the bench, let Russell and George run the first unit. I'll take the second unit. I'll get my shots there. What are the odds of him, you think, coming out and just having the humility to do so and saying, this is what's best for the team?
If he really wants to win games, he would do it. It's a logical thing to do. It would help the team. I would think it would help the team, but you never know with these star players.
Something's got to change because whatever's working right now isn't working.
Yeah, so definitely there has to be a change. Like I would like to see that, to see how it works. I think it would be better than what they're doing right now, of course. But it's up to them.
I just think he would be happier on the second unit. I mean, I just think it's an ego thing for him right now because he is Carmelo Anthony. He's a former All-Star.
Right.
He is a scoring champion. He's a great player. But I think him getting past that would be, hey, I'm on the second unit. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to get my shots here. Because even though you have guys like Abrinas and Kyle Singler and these guys coming off the bench, I mean, Melo's going to get his. And
it's only right, but I would love to see Melo coming off the bench, dropping 10, 12 quick points, because he can do that.
Exactly. He's absolutely capable of doing that, and he knows that he's capable of doing that. But when he does do it, he's doing it for the starters, right?
Exactly.
So that takes away from Russell Westbrook. That takes away from Paul George. The Thunder are a top 5 defense right now, but they can't seem to get it together on the offensive end. They can't seem to get it together in the second half of games and close people out. So I really don't know what else to do. Billy Donovan, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know that he is really connecting with the players because nothing is changing right now.
Right. No, I understand. One would think, I thought Melo was going to be better than, Dwayne Wade this season.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Melo's still a fire. He can do more. He can definitely do more. And coming off the bench, I think that would be lethal for them. Imagine having Russell Westbrook, Paul George starting, and then bam, comes in here, Carmelo Anthony. How do you stop that?
Absolutely. And we know that he's playing power forward for the starters right now. So you take him on the bench, you move him to the 3 spot where is his natural position, and then have 2 big guys in there with him, run him off screens, let him isolate as much as he wants, just let him get his shots. I just think if you're the Thunder, you need to mix it up because right now you're 2 games under 500 in the West with over a fourth of the season already in the books. This is
it goes by quick.
You need to do something now. As far as looking for options, if this continues, I think if this spills over into January, now this is just me, then something needs to be done. If something isn't changed in the next 3 to 4 weeks, you need to move. You need to get something for what you tried to put together because you traded Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis for Paul George. He's going to walk at the end of the season. If you're not successful, get something for him. You know what I mean? Get something from another team, from a contender, whether it's the Cavaliers or wherever he wants. If he wants to go to LA early, if he get traded to the Lakers, whatever you need to do, get something back so you don't get screwed over like you did when Kevin Durant walked away.
No, I complete 100%. I think this is the last thing I'll say about this. If Melo goes to the bench, he'll be the 6th man of the year.
I think you could put him in contention for it because he's going to get a lot of minutes and he's going to get as many shots as he wants.
And efficient. He'll be efficient.
And going up against other second units.
So
to me, I think it's a no-brainer. Like I said, I think it's an ego thing for him.
Yeah, definitely it is.
But if he can move past it, I think the Thunder can be successful and save this season. That's been a disappointment so far. But speaking of the Cavs, let me get on to our MVP candidate here, LeBron James. He posted a stat line last night of 25, 17, and 7 with only 2 turnovers. Played 35 minutes last night against the Atlanta Hawks. The Cavs won 123 to 114. 17 assists is his career high, which he tied. But this is his 15th season. Rick, how impressive is this, and what are his MVP chances right now?
He's looking like the front runner for MVP, if I'm being honest with you, because of all these wins they're getting recently. And I think LeBron's looking like the best he's ever looked. To be honest, for me.
Which is crazy in his 15th season. How is he doing this?
It's insane. I honestly do not know how he is doing it. And it's not like he has a starter full, a roster full of all-stars. He does have Kevin Love. He has Wade. But he's just carrying this team oh my goodness. It's insane. 17 assists, 15th season.
Right.
Come on now. Okay, it was against the Hawks, but still.
That's what the main argument people try to say is it's against a sorry Eastern Conference team. Anyone could have done this. Let me tell you, 17 assists is not easy to do on any level.
On any level, shoot.
Because you're giving up the ball to a teammate, like you said. He doesn't have a lot of scrubs on his team, but Kevin Love is the only other All-Star. You have Dwayne Wade, former All-Star. You have Kyle Korver, who's a sniper. Other guys like J.R. Smith, who's not an All-Star, but he's still a fan favorite, and he can play. He's talented.
He's still kicking.
But 17 assists it is what it is. You can't deny whether if you took the name off this stat line, you said this player averaged 25, 17, and 7. You'd be like, wow, that's incredible. And then you attach LeBron James's name to it, and it's like, oh well, we expect that from him.
We take his talent for granted.
Absolutely.
We take it for granted. Like if any other person does that, it's like if Eric Bledsoe does this, like oh my goodness, it's incredible.
Right.
Great player and all. No disrespect to him, but he's not doing this night in, night out.
Absolutely
like LeBron
not.
does it.
Right. And I mean,
at this age.
Exactly. He's going to be 33 years old in a couple weeks. He's going to be 33 years old.
33. Oh my.
Name
goodness.
another 33-year-old that's putting up these kind of numbers.
Nobody.
I mean,
Nobody.
Michael Jordan obviously with the scoring, but Michael never averaged anywhere near 9 assists for a season, nowhere near 8 rebounds for a season. I mean, this is truly incredible what we're seeing right now.
Exactly. Like just how I said, like we take it for granted. This once he retires, like I said, I think he'll be the greatest of all time. I think he's done more off the court than he has on the court.
I think that should play a factor into it as well. He's been an influence for so many people.
Exactly. And shoot, just with his bat, with these stats that he puts up every single year, never gets hurt. Final all the years, back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it's going to be presumably what this is going to be 8 in a row now.
That's crazy.
I mean, the only other person to ever reach 8+ finals in a row, Bill Russell. I mean, that's ridiculous.
We were in middle school the last time.
Exactly. That was in the 60s. That was in the 60s when Bill Russell was doing this. It's been 50 years later. Now LeBron's doing it again in a game where players have evolved. The game has evolved.
Much faster.
Exactly. I mean,
more teams, more games.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't 12 teams. He's doing this against 30 or 29 other teams, not 11.
True.
So, I mean, it's...
Try traveling across the country playing playing pickup games,
and it's really incredible. But do you honestly think that if the Cavs finish, let's say where they're at right now, the 2nd seed in the East, and the Rockets finish 1st in the West, that he can win MVP over James Harden?
Like I would give it to LeBron James. He deserves it. In his 15th year doing this, I think he can. I think he deserves it. But because put LeBron James on the Rockets.
That's scary.
Clint Capella, Ryan.
That would be scary. Wow.
And Chris Paul.
I tell you what's crazy is there was talk yesterday that LeBron could consider going to Houston in the offseason next year. But the Rockets would have to gut their roster. They would have to get rid of Ryan Anderson. They'd have to get rid of Eric Gordon. I mean, and these are quality players.
They are.
But if it was that big four, so to speak, of Paul, Harden, James, and Capella, what damage could they do, really?
That's uncivilized. That's uncivilized. I couldn't even imagine it.
I mean, we thought it was crazy when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, but when you take the greatest player on the planet and put him with two, I don't even know, I can't even think of a word, of the best ball handlers, of the best really basketball players in the world, next to the greatest player in the world, with a competent big man that, if you told me that
he's on the rise,
if you told me that Clint Capella was behind DeAndre Jordan but played like DeAndre Jordan, I would say, yeah, I'll give it to me every day, because he's got to be a top 10 center in the league, possibly top 5.
Easy.
I think arguable top 5, but definitely top 10 for sure. Probably sitting at 6 or 7, no matter how you look at it. And then you take that guy with LeBron, James Harden, and Chris Paul. I don't even care who's playing the 4.
It doesn't even matter.
Put me in at power forward. I don't care. They're still going to the finals.
They are. Like, they can have the rest of the roster could be full of high school basketball players. You'll still go to the finals.
That's insane. I would love to see that matchup against the Warriors.
That would be one for the ages.
Wow, that would be something. But I tell you what, if LeBron finishes with the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, I think you have to give it to him.
He deserves it because he's been cheated out of some MVPs.
Right, and arguable the one Derrick Rose took from him in his MVP season. Not to knock Derrick Rose, incredible numbers for someone that young, that talented, but LeBron probably should have got that one.
But this is how we said, even the league, they take it for granted. LeBron does this every single.
They expect LeBron to be that every year, and that's why we sometimes say Michael Jordan probably could have won it 8-9 times because he was that good. But you get voter fatigue. That's why people didn't vote for Jordan. That's why they gave it to Malone. You get voter fatigue with LeBron. That's why they gave it to Derrick Rose, arguably.
Exactly, and like these other MVPs, like they are like good talents. Like they're incredible as well.
Right.
Like just give it to him.
But let's move. I think that's a story for a different day. But let's move on to the next topic.
That'll get heated once we get deeper into the season.
We mentioned this guy earlier, Victor Oladipo for the Indiana Pacers. This guy, let me tell you something. He is thriving in Indianapolis right now. In the month of December so far, this man is averaging 32 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds with 2 steals. Now, if you removed his name and showed me this stat line, I would probably be thinking, oh, it's probably James Harden. It might be LeBron. It could even be Kevin Durant, you know. This is Victor Oladipo. This is a guy in his 4th year in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. His team is 4-1 so far in December. He's got the Pacers all the way up to the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, 16-11. Should the rest of the East be worried about the Pacers and Victor's play right now?
The rest of the East should be worried, except the Celtics and the Cavs.
Respectively.
You know, like he's playing incredible MVP-type performances every night, but, you know, it's not enough to, like, really, you know, bring some noise.
He did beat the Cavaliers. He did kind of put his team on his back during that game.
That is true, but, like, you know, it is pretty early for playoff talk and all that, but they're not beating the Cavs in 7.
But do you think the Pacers make it now? Or are they a shoo-in right now?
Yes. They need to. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, carrying like how he is, they need to. Darren Collison, he's been playing great.
And Darren Collison, this is a guy that I'm not going to lie, I had forgot about. I didn't even know he was in the league until this year.
Exactly. But he's playing decent.
Yeah, well, for the point guard role in Indiana, he's doing a great job. I mean, I've seen him get 12 assists in a game a couple times this year. Doing a great job.
And then you got Miles Turner, rising big man. He's been banged up this season, but like they're a good team.
And then you can't forget about Thaddeus Young. He's always been a solid player.
Solid guy, versatile.
Exactly. Whether he was in Philly or whether he was in Brooklyn, I mean, he's always been a decent player. And he's been a decent player for Indiana over the past couple of years.
He does what you need, you know, a little bit of everything.
Exactly. And then Glenn Robinson III, he's been a good player off the bench. And let's not forget Lance Stevenson. Lance is back.
I love that guy.
I don't see how you cannot love Lance.
Exactly.
He's such a character, you know.
I would pay him just to be in the locker room.
Exactly. I mean, he just seems like such a fun guy. Have you ever seen an interview with Lance? Go look him up on YouTube. If you haven't, or you haven't been watching basketball,
I haven't seen an interview from him.
Oh, this season, if you haven't, you need to see it. But I was gonna say, if you haven't been watching basketball for that long, go back to the 2013 Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James. That guy, he got under his skin so quickly for the entire series.
He did. And that against LeBron James.
And he really knew how to push the Miami Heat's buttons. And like I said, get under their skin and really
play well.
Exactly. He was. Oh my goodness, he played like an all-star that series, and that's why Charlotte the next year gave him all that money to go play for the Hornets, and really hasn't been the same since. He's been with 4 different teams since then. Finally made his way back to the Pacers,
I'm glad.
Where he belongs.
He really does belong there. I'm happy he's there.
He needs to be a Pacer for the rest of his life. Should have been a Pacer for the rest of his career. But he's been playing really well off the bench. Needs to work on his three-point percentage a little bit, but I really can't complain. He's a spark plug for them. Like I said, he's a character, and I really think any team would be happy to have him, but he seems most comfortable in Indiana. But getting back to Victor, I think right now he's solidified his all-star candidacy. I think that you have to take him at this point, unless he just completely falls off a cliff. Not a starter, of course, but he definitely needs to have a spot on the all-star team. And as far as the Pacers are concerned, I definitely think they're a playoff team. I think this team is a playoff team no matter which way you slice it up, because they're 5 games over 500 right now. Early in the season, yes. But in the East, you could make the playoffs winning 38 games. I see the Pacers winning high 40s at this point. But Victor, playing out of his mind, definitely did not expect that from him this season.
Yeah.
Even though we knew he was talented, that was kind of suppressed in Orlando with the lack of talent around him. Playing behind Russell Westbrook definitely didn't help his potential. But now that this is his team and he has solidified his name in the Pacers organization, he has been able to thrive like this, in this way, show his talent and showcase what he's able to do.
I couldn't agree anymore. Like, great for him. You know, he went to school in Indiana,
which is a great storyline.
It is. It really is. Coming back to the Hoosier State, it's a great story. I hope he keeps playing the way he's playing. And congrats to anyone who picked him up who drafted him in fantasy.
Yeah, Rick, who drafted him in fantasy. Huh? Picked him up off those waivers, didn't you?
Man,
he beat me to him too because I saw him. Let me tell you, I saw him on the free agency block, and then I was like, oh, okay, waivers. I'll go ahead and pick him up. He's probably going to be really good. And then come to find out 2 days later, oh, he's been picked up by Ricardo. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for robbing my team of that.
That's like I just won the fantasy lottery with that one.
Let's move on to another December baller here. One of your favorite players. Rajon Rondo of the Pelicans is putting up 12 and 12 for New Orleans right now to go along with 7 rebounds his past few games with the Pelicans. He's been really impressive. These are Sacramento King numbers when he was playing with DeMarcus Cousins, a little bit better. But let me tell you this, or ask you this, rather. Is Rondo the X factor for this Pelicans team to succeed?
If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he is the X factor. Oh my goodness!
We just saw him. He had back-to-back games with 15+ assists.
That's crazy.
I mean, 32 assists over a 2-game stretch. That's incredible.
I thought he was gonna be like Sacramento Kings Rondo. I thought he was gonna be pretty good, but I didn't expect him to be this good. And and if he keeps this up, he could be an all-star. I'm saying.
I think
there's a lot of talent.
I think with the way things are set up now and the way that people can now draft all-stars from either conference, I think that the West is so loaded that I don't think there's a spot for him here.
He's just so fun to watch.
He is, but I don't see Rondo as a top 6 guard or top 8 guard in the West.
I can respect.
Now, if he was in the East, I think if he was in the East doing this, I think that there is a spot open for him.
Yeah, for sure. In the East, no, you're right. There is a lot of amazing guards in the West. But no, if they, I'm happy he's playing the way he's playing like this because the Pelicans, they definitely needed him. Drew Holiday, he's playing well. They could go far.
I mean, everyone really for that Pelicans team.
Etuan Moore
for sure.
Career high the other night.
Oh my goodness, he was on fire from 3 the other night. I watched his highlights.
He was draining them.
But like you said, Drew Holiday, Rondo's playing well. Obviously, AD and Boogie. Boogie continues his MVP candidacy. He's probably going to finish top 5 in MVP voting here. Exactly. Or at least he should.
That's another person people take for granted.
Oh, absolutely. I think they overlook his talent because of his emotional instability.
Definitely.
But if you get down to the nitty-gritty of DeMarcus Cousins, right, and you look at the player, not so much the person, because he is very emotional, the most emotional person in the league. I don't think there's any argument there. But what he's able to do night in and night out, he did it in Sacramento. He's doing it in New Orleans even better than he was because he finally has help. But he's still, close to 30 points a game, over 10 rebounds a game, and he's averaging over 5 assists as a big man while putting up all these numbers. It's just crazy.
Maybe another big man doing that.
Exactly. So putting him, I think, with him, Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, Etuan Moore, Rondo, Ian Clark, again, has been really disappointed, which it just really sucks because I had high hopes for him, coming over from Golden State, being their, spark plug off the bench and being their sniper, besides Andre Iguodala, obviously. But I think for them and Dante Cunningham, I'm telling you, I'm riding this Dante Cunningham train because he is, I'm telling you, off the bench, he does a lot more than what the stat sheet says. When he's on the court, I see
the hustle.
Exactly the hustle. I see the effort that he puts into his game. I see the team really just get uplifted from him being on the court. He's vocal. He's emotional, not to the point of DeMarcus Cousins, but you can see his passion on the court when he plays.
And you love to see that.
Absolutely. And I think that he's been with his team for so long that he's really become a New Orleans veteran. He knows what to do for that team, when to do it, how to not really, bark out orders or anything like that. He's not a point guard, but I think he understands how to get guys focused and engaged and things like that. For me, though, like I said last week, the Pelicans, I think I've seen enough from them, and if not more these past week, that they're going to be a playoff team. And not just a playoff team. I don't see them getting an 8 seed. I mean, they could move up to maybe 6, maybe 5 at the most. I mean, depending how the West ends up panning out. But I think the top 3 spots are solidified. It's going to be Houston, San Antonio, Golden State. But after that, Denver, Minnesota, Portland, New Orleans, I don't know how these teams are going to fall into place. Hopefully OKC gets themselves into the mix.
Hopefully.
It's crazy.
Like always, the West is crazy. So many good teams, so much talent in the West. It's just oozing with talent. I would like to see the Pelicans playing in the playoffs and going deep.
I would love to see them get, closer to like a 5 or a 6 seed, because I would love to see them in a first-round matchup with someone that wasn't Houston, that wasn't Golden State.
Yeah.
If you saw like a New Orleans Minnesota first round or New Orleans Portland first round, I think that would be really fun to watch.
Oh my goodness, incredibly fun. And I'm not even lie, they could steal a game against the Rockets or the Warriors.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they aren't getting blown out. They aren't getting swept.
No, both the
Any
times they played Golden State this year, it's been really close. And one time was without Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that they're able to get 1, maybe 2 games from them, and I think that just having a first round series, being able to push it 6 or 7 games would be, I think that would be incredible for them, just to have a little bit of playoff success. And not only that, I think it'd be great for the league to see that, wow, these teams can actually be beat. These super teams can go down.
Exactly. And like, it's only right because they do have the 2 best big men in the league.
Absolutely.
And solid role players. They can do some damage. They have been doing damage.
Right. I think finally, after 3 years of trying to figure out what do we do with this team, what the hell are we doing in New Orleans, I think they finally figured it out, and that they're going to break down that door to the playoffs again and hopefully have some success.
Exactly.
But let me talk to you about a team that is having surprisingly more success than many thought. Is the Brooklyn Nets. They're 11-15 right now. They've won 3 of their last 4 games, and one of those was against Oklahoma City, who is a quality team in the West, or at least should be with those names on their roster. The Cavs have Brooklyn's pick. They thought that this was going to be a for sure top 5, top 6 pick. As it stands right now, the Brooklyn Nets have the 11th best odds of getting the number 1 pick in the lottery next year. Or at the end of this year, basketball season wise. What do the Cavs do with this pick if the Nets' success continues? Do you keep it, or do you try to package that with something to try to make your team better now? It's a tricky situation.
It definitely is, because you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season. You don't know when D'Angelo Russell's going to come back. They're playing good and whatnot, but I don't think they can keep this up the entire season.
I think that's a good point that you make, though. They're doing all of this without their star point guard.
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie has stepped up.
Oh, big
more
time.
than anyone could have hoped
big
for.
Big time. Karis LeVert.
I picked him up on my fantasy team. I had to pick him up on my fantasy team.
I saw.
He's been playing really well.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, a lot of guys are stepping up. I think I would trade that pick right now and try to get something for it.
Do you think, guys like DeAndre Jordan or Marc Gasol that are on the block, do you think you try to package that pick with maybe Amon Shumpert or Channing Frye or something like that?
I wouldn't think about it twice. I would do it right away. Marc Gasol or
even Paul George now, if the Thunder's struggles continue.
A solid big man I would love to have.
I think it would be interesting to package that pick with Cleveland's pick, and then maybe get a big contract off your books like Amon Shumpert. Maybe Amon Shumpert, your first-round pick, and then the Brooklyn pick for Paul George.
That'd be amazing.
That would be really interesting fit to have LeBron, George, and Love all on the same team with Dwayne Wade coming off the bench.
Shoot.
Tristan Thompson coming off the bench, presumably. I mean, that team would be really, really scary. I mean, even adding DeAndre Jordan. I think
a solid big man, exactly.
Yeah. I think another thing they could do with this is maybe just hold on to it, until before the draft lottery. Maybe depending on, like you said, we don't know how the Nets are going to finish this season, so maybe just see how it plays out a little bit. Or maybe just wait up until the trade deadline to see where they're standing right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think, I don't know. I didn't expect the Nets to be this good. No one did. No one did, to be honest. But let me ask you this: once D'Angelo Russell comes back, do you think they improve?
Oh, absolutely.
Because they've gotten some experience, some more playing time than these other guys.
Absolutely. I think, like you said, Karis LeVert has really stepped up for that team. He's starting to show his potential. He's starting to grow into his abilities, showcase his talent. When Russell comes back, I think that, if they run that lineup with D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, and then DeMarre Carroll, who's been a really good defender for them, surprisingly. His offensive game, has struggled a little bit, but that's to be expected. But defensively, he's doing great. And then Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, he's been solid. Absolutely solid.
Let me ask you this. Do you play Dinwiddie and Russell both? Because Dinwiddie has stepped up.
He has really stepped up.
Efficient, too.
I think that you could probably share the minutes there. I mean, I wouldn't have them on the court at the same time for very long unless they had an understanding of how to play that way. I don't know. I haven't been to one of their practices. I don't know Coach Atkinson. I don't know what he has them doing. But however they want to do it, I mean, they have a bunch of really good quality players. They don't have a superstar, but they have a lot of good role players. I think that if they put this together when Russell comes back, I mean, being in the East, they could be in contention for that 8 seed. You know, if they win in the high 30s, they could grab that 8 seed. I mean,
you think so?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but I think the Nets are definitely going to win 30-something games this season. Now, whether it's 31 or 39 is up to them.
Yeah, and it definitely is good to see because, man, they've been losing so much.
Oh, man. It's if you are a Nets fan and you're a true Nets fan, you are a trooper. Let me tell you that. Hang in there. Your team is on the rise. Trust me. I know ever since, the 2014. Really, these past 3 years. Really 4 years because you got, did they get bounced in the first round?
They did.
Against the Hawks? Yeah.
It's disgusting how bad they've been.
Those are days you want to forget, I know.
But
your team is on the rise, and you should have hope for these young guys and these young talent. Not only D'Angelo Russell, but I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, really,
what a guy.
Really, I mean, what a name. First of all, Dinwiddie. Wow. There's a lot of people out there that don't like him solely based off his name. Like even when he was having good games, I didn't pick him up because I was like Dinwiddie. That's
serious?
A weird name. Like I'm not picking him up. There's a lot of people, but you know what? I can look past that. I'm not kidding. I can look past that now. He's a great player. He's doing great things for Brooklyn. But I mean, like Karis LeVert's going to be a stud. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's going to be a great two-way player. D'Angelo Russell's going to be an all-around star once he comes back.
If they don't make it to the playoffs this season, they'll make him next season.
Absolutely. I expect them to make it next season, depending on what moves happen.
Yeah.
And how many players actually want to come to the East with LeBron still the best he's ever been, to be honest. I mean, it's really incredible what he's been able to do. But let's move away from the Cavs. We've talked about them enough, and let's talk about a Western Conference team that got their superstar back yesterday night. The Spurs got Kawhi Leonard back for the first time this season. They ended up losing last night's game to the Dallas Mavericks, 95-89. Leonard only played 16 minutes, but was able to put up 13 points and 6 rebounds. Rick, give me your thoughts on Kawhi coming back and how this affects the Spurs moving forward.
It's great to see them, get their star player back, one of the best players in the league. And, he's going to be on restriction and whatnot, but in a few weeks he'll be the same Kawhi he's been. I like the Spurs. They're great every year, but, they seem to me now kind of like a Memphis Grizzlies. Like, they're always good, but they're never, I don't see them winning a championship anytime soon. Right,
and ever since Kawhi Leonard's injury that happened in that series against Golden State in the playoffs, I think that could linger with him. We don't know how he's going to come back. I mean, you never want to tear any muscle, but especially a leg muscle. You don't know how that's going to affect a player in the long run. We saw it with Kobe when he ruptured his Achilles, and he was never the same player for those last couple years. Obviously, his age had to play a factor in that, but still.
Man.
But still, anyway, getting back to your point.
Now last year, okay, they had a chance against the Warriors. Kawhi went down, but now you got the Rockets. You got to go up against
a lot of teams stepping up this year.
And if the Thunder switch it around, you got the Thunder. You got to go up against. It's definitely not easy. It's not getting any easier for them. But I'm glad he's back. They are going to win more games with him, of course. One of my favorite players, one of the best players in the league, just because he's such a humble guy.
I think he's got to be the best two-way player. The way he plays defense, his offensive game, he's absolutely skilled. But two-time Defensive Player of the Year, I don't think you can ignore that.
You can't, and his offensive game has been getting better each year. Like I said, humble guy, doesn't talk.
No, he's got that Tim Duncan rubbed off on him a little too much. He doesn't like to talk to the media very much.
Right, overall nice guy, but yeah, that's what I think.
I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. I think that his return definitely doesn't hinder the Spurs' chances of making it to the Western Conference Finals or the Finals for that matter. It obviously helps them having a two-time Defensive Player of the Year on your team, but like we said, we don't know how that injury is going to affect him. I don't know how much that went into play with him last night, or whether it was a lack of minutes, or maybe he was just rusty. He hasn't played a full contact basketball game against professional athletes since May against the Warriors. So he's probably just going to need a couple, maybe 3 or 4 games to get back into the swing of things, and he'll be Kawhi again, hopefully. Hopefully he can get back to Defensive Player of the Year Kawhi from a couple years ago. That would be incredible and would definitely help the Spurs' chances of getting back to the not the playoffs. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. Back to the Western Conference Finals, and then going up against whether it be Houston or Golden State or whoever. The West is a toss-up at this point.
It honestly is. Like, you don't even know who's gonna be at the top at the end of the season.
Which this is what basketball is all about. I mean, I couldn't stand watching basketball last year because it was a foregone conclusion. It was going to be Cavs and Warriors again.
Terrible.
But now you have the Celtics are stepping up. You have the Raptors.
Bucks are on the rise. Raptors.
The Bucks are on the rise with Giannis. He's playing out of his mind. And if the Bucks can get maybe even the second seed somehow. Maybe the third seed, but Giannis could still be MVP. Still putting up incredible numbers.
He definitely is. You got not forget about Jabari Parker coming back,
and he'll be back to help them out as well.
Hopefully, he's the same player he was.
The Raptors, they're I think in contention to make the Eastern Conference Finals at least, depending who they go up against. DeRozan's becoming more of a playmaker. I don't know if you've seen it. He's been averaging 7 assists his past 3 games.
He's been
maybe
good.
maybe he's found his niche.
And Lowry's been great as well.
Oh, of course, Lowry's always been a very serviceable point guard.
He's a warrior, really to be honest.
He's the Bulldog. They call him the Bulldog for a reason.
He's a Bulldog.
He's a scrapper, definitely.
He gets rebounds, and he's not tall.
I was about to say, being 6 feet tall, grabbing rebounds like that's impressive.
He grabs them. He's one of the best rebounding point guards in the league, to be
honest. Absolutely. And then Serge Ibaka. He's not all-star Serge Ibaka, but he is definitely coming around, definitely finding his role with the team. JV had an incredible game against the Clippers a couple days ago, which I've been really disappointed with his play so far this season, but he had himself a hell of a game. 20-something points, 12 rebounds.
Okay,
really,
big guy.
Really good Valanciunas, really good.
Stepping it up, eh?
You had to throw the Canadian pun in there, didn't you? But no, I really think, and I'm not saying this because I am a fan. Obviously, I love this team, but being realistic, I do think that they can make the Eastern Conference Finals depending on who they go up against. I think that they have a chance against Boston just because they play them 4 times a year, every year. But when it comes to the Cavs, I think that they might be able to win a game off of them. But ultimately, I think the Cavs are going to go to the finals. Unless it is Boston and Cleveland, I think Kyrie will play harder against Cleveland than he would, say, against Toronto or Washington or whoever, Milwaukee, Indiana for that matter. Indiana, they could be a dark horse to make the second round of the playoffs this season.
You never know.
But anyway, yeah, we're glad that getting back to the actual topic on hand, the Spurs. We're glad that Kawhi's back. I've definitely missed him this season. I know you've missed him this season. I know you're happy to have him back because he's on your fantasy team.
Oh, I'm so happy.
He's been waiting a while for that, and he's also got Isaiah Thomas coming back too, man. He's going to be unstoppable.
I just want to beat Felix, to be honest.
I think I got to get my revenge on him. I know that he took that game from me. He stomped me, to be honest. 200 points.
The man wasn't even there for the draft.
No, and
it was auto draft.
The auto draft gave him a hell of a team, I'll tell you that. But let's move on to the next topic here. We're gonna have to do a fantasy episode one of these days.
We do, definitely, because it's fun.
But let's move on to the final topic before we get into the juicy stuff again. Lonzo Ball had his first game at Madison Square Garden last night against the New York Knicks. Ball put up 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and made 3 3-pointers last night. Very impressive to me. The Lakers did fall short in overtime, though, losing 113-109 to the Knicks. Rick, are you impressed?
I know. I'm not going to lie. I was impressed. It was a nice game. You know, all this criticism that he gets, he put up some nice numbers, but it wasn't nothing to like, oh my goodness, wow, you know, like if LeBron does it, that's like a bad night,
right?
But that is, you know, he is a rookie,
right? He's a rookie, so this is a pretty good game for him.
It is a pretty good game, but it's nothing like, to be honest, Donovan Mitchell has been more impressive to me.
I'm not going to argue that. I mean, the Jazz are in the 8 spot right now. The Lakers are in, I think, the 13th or 12th position. So I got to give it to you there.
He's one of the best players on the Jazz.
I can't argue that either. I mean, Rudy Gobert, and then you have who's after that? I mean, Donovan Mitchell, maybe. I mean, I'm just throwing names out there.
I think so. I'm sorry. Like, the guy can play basketball.
And that's no disrespect to Rodney Hood or Ricky Rubio or anybody else.
Nothing like that.
Mitchell has been playing really well for that team.
But I do like Lonzo Ball. Just how I said before, the only thing I don't like is all this media attention on him and his dad and all that. Just let the man play.
Absolutely. I
And,
couldn't agree more.
you know,
But let me tell you, I was really impressed because this might seem like just a pretty good stat line, which it is a pretty good stat line. But he did this at Madison Square Garden in his first trip there. I just think that's really impressive. I mean, that's got to be up there with first time performances from a lot of the great players. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I didn't have time to research that part of the segment, but
everybody goes crazy at Madison Square Garden.
And it's tough. It's a tough environment to play in, and no matter how the Knicks are doing, the Knicks the Knicks fans love their team.
They do,
and they will let you know about it in one way or another.
But it's crazy because a lot of players, they just have career nights. Or Steph Curry a few years back, 60-something points.
Kobe Bryant back in his day. LeBron James a few years
Oh,
ago.
my goodness.
But, yeah, a lot of players have really balled out in that building. Absolutely. But, I mean, I was impressed. I mean, you not so impressed, but I definitely thought more of it. But this is just nice to see because I have criticized him for weeks. And just to be able to see this was
nice.
It made me happy to watch the game. I enjoyed watching the game.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking of Lonzo Ball, we got to get into the juicy stuff. And Rick, LeVar Ball is at it again. He's at it again. LeVar 2 days ago had his two youngest sons both sign a 1-year contract with a pro-Lithuanian basketball team with a name that I'm going to attempt to pronounce. Bear with me. Via Tortas, I think, is the best pronunciation you're going to get out of me. Vytautas, if you want to go ahead and try it yourself. Anyway, both report for the team in January after signing their contracts on Monday. The club does not plan on playing the brothers much in the actual Lithuanian league itself, but rather give them time in the Baltic League, which is kind of the D-League of Lithuania, if you will. The Lithuanian League being the NBA and then the Baltic League being the D-League, or G-League now, how they want to call it, the Gatorade League, whatever it is. But anyway, the team's official statement came out Monday and went as following, quote, "Our club is excited for the arrival of LiAngelo and LaMelo Ball. We are committed to their long-term success and development as professional basketball players." End quote. Rick, what is LeVar doing?
Oh, I don't know what he's doing, but that's just crazy. Like, LaMelo's not in high school anymore. LiAngelo not at UCLA anymore. You go playing this in Lithuania. Probably don't know nothing about it,
No one there speaks English.
Exactly.
So it's like you're putting children in an environment to where they're obviously going to be uncomfortable.
Exactly, and these are still kids. These aren't.
This is a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. One which has not finished his junior year of high school.
That's just crazy to me. Like, I don't know what was the issue with them staying in their respective schools, just letting them play basketball. But I feel bad, because LeVar just. I don't know what's going through his mind. I don't know what's going through LaMelo and LiAngelo's mind either. But it's tough to see because I don't think this is a good move. But I don't know. I might be wrong.
No, and I'm gonna jump on what you said because I don't think it's a good move as well. And a lot of people, 99.99% of everybody, think this is a ridiculous idea. First of all, they're not even really making money. They're making $100 a month. $100 a month to play basketball when you could have just waited 3 years for LaMelo and 1 year for LiAngelo for them to actually either LiAngelo probably go to Europe. I don't think that he would have been an NBA talent, but it's just it's laughable to me because it's like
crazy.
What LaMelo actually has NBA potential, but you have to let him develop. He's going over there to be playing against people that don't speak the same language as him, that are grown men. He's not playing kids. He is playing grown men, some of them in their 30s. He's going to get bodied and bullied.
These players have kids his age.
Exactly. And he's going up against their dad? Like, what?
That's crazy.
What is really going on here? I mean, this has got to be one of the craziest stunts that LeVar has pulled yet, other than taking his kid out of high school was the first thing. And now moving him over to Eastern Europe.
Like, okay, I understand maybe with LiAngelo because of what all that happened. Okay, yeah, just might as well go. Probably not going to the NBA, but with LaMelo, not even finished high school.
And
what? And he's still playing quality opponent. If he would have stayed at Chino Hills, he's not going to be playing. He's going to be playing top high schools.
Exactly. It really doesn't make any sense. Like I'm struggling to come up with words on the stupidity of this decision. I'm really in awe because I didn't think that LeVar would come to this, even though I don't agree with anything that he's done, really. I don't agree with this decision either, and the fact that he's making this more about himself than anything. Like he keeps saying it's like, oh, it's for their best intentions. Oh, it's for like I want to hear the conversation or see the conversation go down between him and his son saying you're going to play in Lithuania, and if they're actually okay with it, or they were like, okay, Dad, sorry, I'll just do whatever you want. You know, like I really wonder how much of a say that they had in this, and how much of it is just LeVar just doing whatever the hell he wants.
Right, and I think because Lonzo Ball had such a good year at UCLA, and he's the player that he is, he's being able to do all this. Because if Lonzo was just an average player, he wouldn't be doing this type of stuff.
No, you wouldn't even know who LeVar Ball was at this point.
You wouldn't. It's mostly because of Lonzo, the talent that he is, and he just like went overboard with it.
You know what? We could all be wrong about this.
We could.
We could all be wrong. You know what? Maybe they go to the Baltic League in Lithuania and
go crazy.
They ball out. And then they say, okay, we want you to come play for the actual Lithuanian team. And then they ball out. And then someone else in Europe sees them and they're like, oh, okay, well, you're doing pretty good. How about you? They sign
France,
in
Spain, a bigger team.
Right. They sign with like Barcelona or somebody like that, someone big. And then they're like, okay, well, they sign them. And then they ball out again. And then it's been 3 years. Maybe LaMelo has turned into, a good prospect. He's 19 years old at this point. And maybe some struggling team in the NBA says, you know what, we're going to take a chance on this guy and his crazy-ass father. And they sign him, and he comes and balls out. Like
it could happen. There is a possibility.
Best case scenario for them, but I can't see this working out. I can't see this working out, mostly because of the cultural differences. They will not be comfortable. These are kids.
Exactly. If it was like a 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, okay, I understand. They're mature.
At least they'll have a better chance of it. They've had more years to get accumulated to change.
But LiAngelo Ball, he just got caught stealing in China. Like, come on now.
Which this is so funny because they could have had an opportunity to go play in the Chinese basketball league, one of the lower leagues, but you can't have LiAngelo go back there because he's already been in legal trouble. So they screwed the pooch on that one.
So like, man, it's tough. It's really tough. Hopefully everything goes well, especially for LaMelo and LiAngelo.
We hope so. I mean, I hope that.
But it's tough to see.
Right, it is, and I hope that LeVar. I hope he's right about this decision because if he's wrong about this one, I think that they're both done. I really do.
Because you like
not that LiAngelo had any chance of making the NBA. If it was probably like 1%. But LaMelo has talent. He has potential.
He does. And even if you have all that potential and all that, you still got to get an education just to fall back on. At least a high school education.
Absolutely.
I'm not telling them, all right, go get a PhD from Harvard.
Right.
But, like, come on, at least finish high school, big guy.
And, man, we mentioned this last week. They had it all set up at UCLA. LiAngelo just had to finish his suspension. He could come back and play. LaMelo would be there in a couple years. LiAngelo might have been able to go to the G League, get developed. Maybe the Lakers take a shot on him because they're like, okay, you want to play with your brother? Maybe you play better with your brother. Maybe your brother plays better with you. We'll take a shot at it. This has been LeVar's plan the entire time to get all three kids on the Lakers. I don't think that's going to happen. But, I mean, that definitely would have been easier going through UCLA than it is now.
Shoot, imagine being at UCLA playing basketball.
Exactly. It just doesn't make any sense. And
being a basketball player, how would you not want to do that?
Even serving a 4-week suspension, I would still want to play basketball at UCLA.
Shoot.
Just all the names attached to it, not even mentioning, the grade of the institution being
that beautiful campus, the weather, the basketball.
Exactly. But you know what? Whatever LeVar wants to do, if his sons are okay with it, it's not my family, it's not my problem. So, good luck.
Exactly. I just wish the media wouldn't just care so much about like what LeVar does. Like,
it's reality TV. People eat this up, man.
It's insane.
They really do.
It's insane.
But you know what? That's going to do it for us. I can't talk about LeVar for another minute, so we're going to go ahead and end it there. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please follow us on social media, on our Twitter page, on iTunes, and all that good stuff. We really appreciate your support and your feedback. Please, constructive criticism is always appreciated.
Exactly. We just how you said, we love having you guys listen to this podcast. We love doing the podcast. And we just hope to see you next time and have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. And we will see you next time. We are going to take a little bit of a winter break here. We are college students. We've been dealing with, finals and all that fun stuff. So, we do need a break. We're going to spend time with friends and family and enjoy the holidays. And if you celebrate Christmas, obviously Merry Christmas to you guys out there early. And we'll come back in January. And we'll be ready to pump out a few more episodes for you guys and enjoy the rest of the season.
Thanks so much.
And have a good one. Peace.